Good evening. Laura Donnelly here with Strange and Interesting Times, day 213. And I'm coming to you from Dancing with Ease, Body Brain Balance, which is the work I do to help people get their brains and their bodies in alignment. So, this also includes our emotions because our emotions affect both our brains and our bodies. And when these things all are working together, our bodies really work so much better. And our brains do too. And our lives go better. So I've been thinking about a few things today, and one of them is growth and how growth happens, and how actually we can't stop it. Hey Kay, it's great to see you. I've been thinking about you a lot. Growth is a process, and it happens all the time. So when all you have to do is not see some people for a while, like especially my cousin's grandkids, and all of a sudden I see them after 2 or 3 months, and somebody that came up to my chin before is coming up to my forehead now. And it's like, what happened? Well, it wasn't 5 inches all at once. It was incremental growth, slow and steady, day by day, happening all along, but I just wasn't there every day. And the interesting thing, when I grew up, a lot of people did this. I don't know if people still do it, but they would pick a door or a doorway in the house, and at periodic times, they would mark the heights of the important people who were growing, not the adults, but the kids, cousins. Like a lot of times at my grandparents' house, there would be all 8 of us cousins at different heights on the wall, and our age at that height. So then you could see if you were taller or shorter than your cousin was at that age. And it was like this, I don't know, it's just like this picture of change recorded on the wall. And or the door frame or the door, whatever. Usually sometimes people put it on the basement door so you could leave the door closed, but then when you wanted to see it, you could open it and look at it. But the daily change that happens is so often so gradual, unless, of course, you're looking at a cornfield. And then that seems sometimes to grow 5 or 6 inches a day. And it seems like if you were watching it in the spring, that you would actually see it grow. But I don't think you would. So this is one of the interesting things about growth, is it happens kind of when we're not looking. And it's constant, subtle, and continuous. And I think we can support the growth so that it happens in ways that are beneficial. So one of the things, when I was growing up, I had what I like to refer to as a Gumby body. It's really stretchy, and a lot of my joints are hypermobile, is the word for them. Sometimes people call them double jointed too. Not every joint, thank heavens, because that would be really hard to negotiate, but enough of them that is very easy for my body to shift into a place where my knees would, can you see that? Like my knees would bend backwards too far back instead of being straight. They would hyperextend and bend back. But then when that would happen, I'd have a compensating curve in my lower back, which was not great. It's not terrible when you're a kid. You don't notice it, and you're so busy and active, and mostly everything feels really pretty good most of the time. But over time, an over curve in your lower back can lead to back trouble. So my mom was teaching dancing, and alignment of your skeleton is really important in dance. And so from an early age, she was working to make me aware of what I did with my body so that I wouldn't overstretch the stretchy parts, and I would strengthen the parts that were a little bit loose and too flexible. And in that way, I feel like I was really lucky, because sometimes I see people and their legs are bent way backwards, and and they take a step and then the knee locks backwards and it looks like it really hurts to me. And I feel grateful that I grew up with this knowledge, and by paying attention to how I used my body, I was able to help it build in a more straight way and stronger way, rather than an overused way. And so also it's like, if you grow roses, people trim the roses and trim the plants, and they do things so that the bush grows in a certain shape. So we can guide growth in certain directions. We can guide growth inside of ourselves in certain directions by what we choose to pay attention to. So that's a lot of what I've been talking about over these last 200 some odd days, is the ideas of what you pay attention to, where you put your energy, is what increases and grows in your life. So if you put your energy on what's wrong and what's not working, that uses a lot of energy. It keeps your attention, and it gathers stress and frustration to it, and it seems to grow. If you think about what's going well, it's one reason to have a gratitude practice, which is really a fun thing to do. If you do that and you're paying attention, even though you might have something that's stressful and problematic, if you also open up your mind to noticing what you're grateful for, what's going well, that keeps your mind from locking down on this other thing. And it brings this energy of, hey, that's going good, into your life, which actually helps the thing that's a problem go a little bit better, helps it to shift. So that's another way that we can help our mind learn new ways of processing information and new ways of dealing with problems. So that now in my life, when something comes up, something kind of challenging, when in the past I might have said something like, oh crap, I have to do such and such. And then I might put it off because I didn't want to do it. And I put that energy on it of, oh, drat, But now I say, well, I wonder how quickly I can get that done. And so I'm laying down the intention to do it quickly. Sometimes I say, I wonder how easily I can get this done. I have a friend, she does this now with her taxes. She said it takes her one weekend, when before it took her 2 or 3 weeks to get everything together and finished for her taxes. She just, instead of resisting it and pushing against it, she just says, how easily can I do this? And it's a question, it's an experiment, it's a discovery. And she said she moves through it so much faster than she used to do. So, what about growing pains? Oh, man. I remember when I was a kid, sometimes I'd wake up in the night and my knees would just be aching and aching. And it didn't matter if I made them straight, they felt bad. If I bent them, they felt bad. And my dad said, it's just growing pains. It will go away. Then I remember having braces, and they made all my teeth slightly loose. Oh, that was a terrible feeling. I didn't have any wisdom teeth, so I can't really remember the process of a tooth growing, but I did break a bone a couple times. And that feeling as the bone is knitting, these are kind of growing pains. They take energy and time, and it's not necessarily comfortable, the shift and the change. And that's true of things in our lives too. When we try new things, we can be nervous. It's a new thing. It's unfamiliar. Especially as adults, we get used to being able to do things, to being skilled at doing things. I can pour the water in my coffee pot with either hand. I can scramble eggs. I can there's so many things that I have learned to do that I just do almost automatically. That when I come to doing a new thing, I have this like, oh, I don't want to mess it up, like a new recipe. If I make a new recipe. So then I like read the recipe. Normally I just throw stuff in the pan and cook and make something. But if I'm going to make a recipe, something I haven't made before, I get a little cautious and I like want to read the ingredients and I want to know the steps in order and I want to do it right. It's part of my growing pains for me is to let myself learn something new and take away the expectation that I need to do it right the first time, to give myself permission to learn by doing and maybe to learn something from doing something new and not being very successful and needing to practice and making a modification and doing the thing again and being a little bit better and making another modification and doing it again and making it a little bit better. So this is the way that changing how our brain thinks happens. We have a new idea. It's like a new recipe or a new routine at the gym. It's new. It makes sense in our mind, like logically, so we can say that. But under pressure, boom, we go back to the old thing because that's how we are. It's the nature of humans. So we can say, well, I'm going to try it again. Next time, next time I'm with somebody and they start to yell at me for whatever reason, instead of yelling back, I'm going to scan for ease. And maybe I'll be successful and maybe I won't, because it's a deep change to an old habit and it requires growth of new skills. The new skills include recognizing the situation, that this is a situation that I usually react in a certain way to. Recognizing that I'm in the situation again and I don't want to react the same way. I want to choose a new way. It means pausing so that I have time to choose a new behavior. Then I can recognize that I want to choose the right behavior. That's my how to do self. And I come back to ease, which is my allowing self, starting with ease and then picking from that place of alignment in myself an action which will keep me moving forward in alignment with myself. The things we do that feel really bad to us are things that pull us out of alignment, shift us to one side or the other, and then we stay off of alignment and we make compensating behaviors, and then that we compensate to those compensating behaviors, and pretty soon we look like a pretzel. So coming back to ease is actually untying the knots, the habitual knots we have allowed ourselves to create by repeated action that we made for good reasons. The best, we made the best choices at the time with the information we had. So then when we have new information, we can look at doing things a new way and we can set up time to practice that so that we give ourselves time and space for growth to happen. And then we recognize that we will probably fall down and skin our knees and have a few growing pains along the way. And that's part of the process and part of the journey of growing and learning and changing. So I'm going to pop the link in here again for the 30 days of ease. So you could get a picture and a quote every day in your email to just inspire a moment of ease when you look at it, when you read it, or if you want to save the picture as a screensaver or something and look at it several times a day. However it works for you. I'm happy to share that, and I will be back tomorrow with day 214. Take good care.